New, live, and local, and every weekday from 8 to 9 a.m. This is the show talking about what you want to know, what you need to know, and part of Woof Boom Radio's mission to use our voice to build our community. The all-new Delaware County Today, presented by Muncie Community Schools. Now on WMUN, the Talk of Muncie. Here's your host, Director of News Operations and lead morning anchor, Steve Lindell.
Live from Studio B on the campus of Woof Boom Radio in Muncie, Indiana. The weather is changing. I mean, like right now, Paul Poteet in seconds, Hunger in Focus in 90 seconds, and we're going to have a state rep in the studio at the bottom of this hour, all things State House and what the legislature is up to. Good morning, Steve Lindell, ready to go for Paul Poteet and our weekend weather on WMUN.
Good morning. We had the spring temperatures for a couple of days. We had some spring weather last night in Indiana. The severe stuff all stayed to the south of us. The Weather Service is going out to survey damage in Sullivan and Monroe counties. A confirmed tornado last night in Bloomington did quite a bit of damage to their west side. The wind is still a story today, but it's just straight line, cold winds from the west that have prompted a wind advisory for us until 6 p.m. Falling temperatures from the 50s down through the 40s. By this afternoon, we'll be in the mid-30s, and wind chills could be in the 20s. Mostly cloudy. Clearing tonight at a low of 25. Tomorrow's okay. Near normal temperatures, partly sunny and 40, not as windy. But on Sunday, snow showers, an inch or less expected, and the high only 32. 31 Monday, partly sunny, 36 Tuesday, and then we're back into the 40s for the rest of next week. That's your expanded look at the weather this morning. Now more from Steve.
All right, and thank you, Paul Poteet. Now on to Hunger in Focus as we talk to our guest who is sitting right here in Studio B, brand new visitor to this particular room. And Bekah, I would love to say hello to you and always enjoy interacting with you. How do you like the new digs here?
I was so impressed when I walked in and just amazed. So excited and, no heads up except for to come to a different building. So this is amazing.
We're glad that you're here, and we're even more glad that we can use this space to do things such as this, talking about important topics in our community. And in focus now is hunger and food needs. And it's Canned Food Month, so I'm told.
Yes. It's Canned Food Month, February. Who knew? And, when people think about hunger, they often think about, the holidays. Because we're always collecting food on the holidays. But hunger doesn't take a season off. It's important because we have about 1 in 6 people in our region who find themselves experiencing food insecurity. That is a pretty high number. And so families across our community are sometimes making impossible choices. We hear that and we don't think it's true, but it happens every single day. The choice between groceries and rent and utilities and taking care of their health.
And one of the things that people can help with is, they can volunteer. They can always do that. But monetary donations can be leveraged in a way because of how you've constructed the whole system to do incredible and impressive things. If you can kind of just step us through how you do that.
Absolutely. So we can buy in bulk, and we're part of the Feeding America system, which makes it we're so happy to have that kind of support, which is a food bank in every county in the United States. And there are 11 of us in Indiana, and we work together all the time. So if there's a huge load of something that we can purchase it at a huge discount. And if we can't use it all, then we'll share it with one of our other food banks. So it really helps us to have monetary donations because that's the way that we then purchase those huge loads.
Bekah Clawson is our guest on WMUN's Delaware County Today. Second Harvest Food Bank ECI, a jewel in our community that has done amazing things for a long time, but especially in recent years when the needs have clearly gone greater. Back to the donation way, you can make a monetary donation. If they wanted to donate a food item or more, what are the kinds of things that seem to work best, that are most usable for those that need that assist?
Sure. You can, some folks say, I just want to go to the grocery store. I want to get more food than, that I'm going to use, and then I'd like to take it somewhere. And so the kinds of things we need are like canned proteins. That's like canned chicken and canned tuna. And then canned vegetables of any kind, canned fruit, peanut butter, beans, soup. All those are important kinds of things. And if you think, oh gosh, I don't want to go out to the food bank for this little bit of stuff that I'm bringing, find a food pantry in your area. They're usually a partner of ours, and they would be thrilled to have whatever you bring to them.
Any sort of attention that can be brought to the needs helps everybody. Bekah Clawson, our guest, Second Harvest Food Bank ECI. WMUN's Delaware County Today. So about the donation of food, maybe having a food drive, maybe there's a school out there or a civic group that could put something together. Give them some of those ideas to plant in their minds, Bekah.
Absolutely. And, it doesn't just, I know we're halfway through, or 3/4 of the way through February. So just because February's Canned Food Month doesn't mean that you can't do it any other month.
Right.
But we've found businesses that do that very well. They'll put a sign, and everybody that comes to the business will bring a can. If you're a school and you want to, I've seen real successful food drives where one class against the other, or a group of teachers against the students. It's kind of fun. It's sort of a contest. So, if you want to do it that way, then that works too.
All right. Bekah Clawson, our guest. Any last items you'd like to cover before we wrap our segment today, Bekah?
I just want to thank the community, because last November, when we were really facing that shutdown with SNAP, the community came through in such a big way. And we are just so pleased that we know we can count on our community when something happens like that. So that our thanks, our sincere thanks.
There's a lot more going on that is good and nice and kind. Absolutely. In our community, in our world, really. You hear about a lot of the bad stuff. There's no doubt about that. But there are a lot of people that want to be helping other people. How can they reach out and connect websites, URLs, and all that, Bekah?
Yes, www.curehunger.org, and you can speak to our receptionist. There's all kinds of little buttons you can push, but if you want a live person, press 0.
All right. Bekah Clawson, always a pleasure. Thanks very much for the time and for the effort and the work and the big hearts that they all have. We have more coming in a moment, our local news summary in a couple of minutes, and a lot more to come on Delaware County Today from WMUN.
This month, Pure Talk is honoring Jackson and Lincoln by offering unlimited talk, text, and plenty of data for just $25 a month. Meanwhile, Big Wireless is honoring Ben Franklin by charging families hundreds of dollars for the same 5G coverage. What? Franklin wasn't even a president. Hang on to those Benjamins. Dial pound 250, say Mike Rowe, and save 50% off your first month. That's pound 250, Mike Rowe, to switch to an American wireless company that's truly unprecedented. Pure Talk.
Did you know GoodRx can help you save on medication, manage prescriptions, and get trusted health information? If you're one of the millions living with a heart condition, check GoodRx for an easier, more affordable way to manage your health. GoodRx offers common heart medications for under $30. Just search for your prescription, find the best price, then show your pharmacist the GoodRx coupon. And it works whether you have insurance or not. To start saving and better manage your heart health, download the free app or visit GoodRx.com today. GoodRx is not insurance but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and
Hey, it's Jonas Knox, and do you ever feel a little bit awkward seeing your neighbor? Like you don't know what to say? Now, Rocket and Redfin found most of us want stronger connections in our neighborhoods, but only a third of us actually know who lives next door. But here's the good news. Connection doesn't need a big gesture. It just needs a first one. So today, start small. A wave, a quick hello. That's how neighbors turn into people you actually know. Find your newest neighbors at redfin.com.
time is valuable. That's why Lowe's Blueprint Takeoffs turn blueprints into quotes faster. Bring us your plans, and we'll generate itemized material lists to make quoting easier so you can get back to building. Plus, at the Lowe's Pro Desk, you get access to thousands of building materials not sold in store. And when your order's ready, we'll deliver everything to the job site. Improving is easy at Lowe's.
Want to hear more? Replays uploaded daily on WMUNmuncie.com. Now back to Delaware County Today with Steve Lindell, presented by Muncie Community Schools.
That the golden tones of Tom Campbell, the voice of WMUN, as we emanate from Studio B on the campus of Woof Boom Radio, south side of Muncie, Indiana. The news comes from many locales. We get those stories now within our local news summary, airing on all of our stations always and now on WMUN. The plan to bring the Chicago Bears to Hammond took a step forward Wednesday. House Speaker Todd Houston talked about it before the House Ways and Means Committee.
In Senate Bill 27, we create the necessary framework for an NFL stadium to be built in Northwest Indiana. The new stadium will be a catalyst for growth across the entire Northwest Indiana corridor.
The Anderson City Council voted last night to approve rate increases for sewer and electric. The sewer rate will increase by 18%, amounting to just a little over $7 a month for a residential customer, and an electric increase of 13.5% for residential customers, if approved by the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission. Brett Busby, Woof Boom Radio News.
One of the highlights of the school year occurred recently at Muncie Central High School when National Honor Society inductees were honored for the 2025-26 school year. Principal Chris Walker with more from WMUN's Delaware County Today.
If you want just an ounce of inspiration, spend just a few minutes with some of those students and you'll realize real quick that we're really in good hands and we're very proud of them, but we were happy to celebrate them in their NHS induction on the 10th.
The Anderson Housing Authority will cease management of Parkview Apartments on March 31. Herald Bulletin says the apartments in the old YMCA building were sold to Ohio-based Episcopal Retirement Services in 2018. The AHA has managed the property since 2022. Your ticket might say Saturday, but tonight is the moved BSU men's basketball game. They're always on WMUN. Frankton visits Alexandria in high school boys basketball tonight, pregame 7:15 on Oldies 101. Same station, radio broadcast of LaPel's 2A North girls basketball semi-state against Bremen tomorrow, 10 a.m. Tomorrow on WMUN, Yorktown visits Wapahani, pregame scheduled about 7 p.m. There's a video cast on that one, too. Just Desserts returns to the Ivy Tech Fisher Building from 6 to 7:30 p.m. on March 10. Book a full table for $240 on the Boys and Girls Club website. A Highland physician is headed to federal prison for a multi-million-dollar health care scam.
54-year-old Bethany Cataldi was sentenced Wednesday to 8 years behind bars after pleading guilty to health care fraud. Prosecutors say Cataldi billed insurance for thousands of sinus surgeries she never actually performed, pocketing nearly $20 million in the process. Along with her prison time, Cataldi must pay full restitution and has already forfeited luxury assets, including jewelry and real estate, to cover the debt. Johnette Cruz, Network Indiana.
Yorktown has a new street sweeper at a cost of $250,000, but town manager Chase Bruton told WMUN residents can be rest assured they got full value from the previous model.
The taxpayers can be very happy to hear that we got the full life out of our previous street sweeper. It was literally falling apart. We did a pretty major repair on it last year to get us through the season, and then it completely and totally died, and we had to sell it for scrap.
Bill passes out 24-0. Thank you.
The Indiana House Ways and Means Committee approving a stadium framework bill that lays the groundwork for a new Bears stadium in Hammond, Indiana. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker saying the state was caught off guard. In Chicago, Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
The Indiana House is passing a bill back over to the Senate that focuses on youth social media restrictions. Plus, state oversight on some college degree programs. Jarrett Lewis breaks it down.
The bill would require parental permission for kids to open social media accounts on certain platforms. Now, it includes a call for state officials to review low-wage college degree programs. House Democrats say the bill would eliminate some options that students want to get into, while Republican Representative Jim Lucas is taking student loan debt into account.
All this bill is doing is getting rid of degrees that just cannot pay these kids. When they get out, they have this degree. There's no way they can pay this off.
Tuesday's vote was 67-28 along party lines. The bill now heads back to the full Senate. Jarrett Lewis, Network Indiana.
Gone but not forgotten, Jarrett Lewis has more on the candlelight vigil Wednesday night in Beech Grove to remember Officer Brian Elliott.
Hundreds of people and fellow officers gathering in Beech Grove to remember Officer Brian Elliott. He was shot and killed Monday while responding to a domestic call at an apartment complex. Beech Grove Mayor James Kaufman says Officer Elliott's legacy will live on forever.
And I assure you, he will never be forgotten. He offered his life for something greater. And in doing so, he changed all of our lives. Forever.
His patrol car now sits at the police station as a memorial, covered in flowers, flags, and handwritten notes. Jarrett Lewis, Network Indiana.
8 Delaware County wrestlers will be in the IHSAA state finals this weekend at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. First round competition begins today, 3 p.m. The winners advance to the quarterfinals beginning Saturday, 9 a.m.
Cash for Life and Lucky for Life lotteries are both coming to an end, with final drawings for each set for Saturday night. The two games are being retired and replaced by a single one, Millionaire for Life. The first Millionaire for Life drawing is set for Sunday. Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
An inmate who was in custody of ICE at the Miami Correctional Facility in Miami County died Monday morning and was found in his cell.
Not long after finding out that inmate died, Democratic State Representative Ed Delaney of Indianapolis said he got in touch with the Department of Correction.
They are undertaking an appropriate investigation to see whether their procedures were proper and also to see whether the medical provider, whether they were doing their job and whether the procedures are appropriate.
Delaney says he wants to make sure there was no systemic failure here. The man who died was a Cambodian detainee named Lorth Sim. He was 59 years old, and police say Sim had a criminal history that includes disorderly conduct, indecent exposure, and larceny. John Herrick, Network Indiana.
The Anderson Municipal Development Department demolished vacant homes on Anderson's Cedar Creek and West 12th Street on Wednesday. Herald Bulletin says 7 properties have been demolished this year, and the Anderson Board of Public Works has bids to demolish 12 more. More local every day on our free woofboomnews.com. And as we talk to everyone and directly to our friends with Coffee with Bill, I know you're probably getting ready to move your way to the big, what do they call it? The Big White Dome on Madison Street in Muncie, home of good mystery guests, enlightening conversation, and Buffalo Bill's best latte da this side of the OK Corral. Those are the words of Ed Knatzer, who has been a guest of Dr. Joe Mashevitz on All Kinds of People. Has that one aired yet? I'm not sure. Steve Lindell, live radio. You just never know what's going to happen. Let's get a quick snapshot of our day today.
It's February 20th, and this is your 20th and Fox Daily Snapshot. Today is National Love Your Pet Day. Whether you're on Team Woof or Meow, they're all family members who give you unconditional love. In the 1960s, European royalty began keeping toy dog breeds. Pet birds were the pet of choice in Spain among all classes well into the 1960s. On this day in 2016, Donald Trump wins the South Carolina Republican primary with 32.5% of the vote, and on the same day, Jeb Bush suspends his presidential campaign. While the Nevada Democratic primary goes to Hillary Clinton with 52.6% of the vote. Born on this day in Miami in 1927, but grew up in the Bahamas, the legendary Sidney Poitier, the first black man to win the Academy Award for Best Actor in 1964 for his role in Lilies of the Field, for playing a handyman helping a group of German-speaking nuns build a chapel. I'm CJ Papa. That's your Fox Daily Snapshot.
On WMUN's Delaware County Today in Focus, the State House. In our next segment, State Rep J.D. Prescott coming in as we bring you the inside story of what you need to know. That's what we try to do every day here on WMUN.
When you own a home, decisions can have a lot of gray area.
Okay, which paint color? Misty gray, mountain gray, or greyhound gray?
What about whispering gray?
Home insurance can feel like it has a gray area too. That's why State Farm has local agents to help you choose the right coverage for your needs. So get out of the gray
Let's just go red.
and help protect your home with a good neighbor.
Contact State Farm agent Jason May in Muncie today.
This Week in Delaware County, a weekly show on WMUN that's part of our promise to use our voice to build and connect our community. Listen Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. to catch up on local news, community info, and talk about issues and ideas that you need to know on 92.5 FM, 1340 AM, and on Alexa, say play WMUN.
Hey, it's Cavino and Rich. Have you ever wiped with a piece of dry, single-ply toilet paper and wondered, is this as good as it gets? Well, it's not. It gets a lot better thanks to the wet, extra-large cleaning power of Dude Wipes. They comfortably clean up whatever TP leaves behind for no more maintenance wipes. Make the trade of the season and switch from TP and start experiencing the confident clean of Dude Wipes. Available at Amazon and at major retailers nationwide. Dude Wipes. Best clean, pants down.
Enjoying a healthy dinner that tastes great means eating out at a pricey restaurant, right? Wrong. Healthy Choice Simply Steamers are delicious and healthy. The tray and tray steam technology delivers crisp veggies and tender protein in tasty selections, like Healthy Choice Simply Steamers grilled chicken and broccoli Alfredo. It's a satisfying meal with 28 grams of protein and nothing artificial. Healthy Choice Simply Steamers. What having it all tastes like.
Live, weekdays from 8 to 9 a.m. with replays later. This is the Daily Delaware County Today with Steve Lindell.
And with J.D. Prescott, who is in focus right now here in our Woof Boom Radio Studio B. This is on the campus of Woof Boom Radio on south side of Muncie. J.D. Prescott is House District 33 state rep, including Randolph and Blackford and portions of J. Henry and Delaware counties. I can't remember all of those. You are very much tied into all of that verbiage, having done the job for as long as you have already, Mr. Prescott.
Yeah, it's an honor to serve Randolph, Blackford, Jay, Delaware, and Henry counties. Serve on the Ways and Means, Judiciary, and Elections committees this term. And just put my name in for another cycle as well. So looking forward to continue to get out and talk to constituents and voters throughout the district.
As we stand, or rather sit right now in Studio B for WMUN, the legislative session only has 1 week to go, you tell me, assuming everything goes according to plan. Let's talk about a couple of session items here. There is a movement to shorten the number of days for early voting in Indiana. Is that still alive? What's the purpose of that, and what's your position on that?
Yeah, so this is actually part of legislation that I filed the first half of section in a various elections bill. It did not make it out of the House the first half of session, but the Senate Elections Committee has revived that portion of the bill. They inserted it into another elections bill. I apologize, I forget the House bill number off the top of my head, but they did insert it into another House bill. And the reasoning for that is when you look at the early voting days, most constituents actually vote in a 10 to 15 day window, and kind of that, and it's usually at the very beginning as soon as early voting opens, and then closer to actual election day. And some of those days in the middle are just kind of fluff. So it is costly for counties to implement the elections and keep these extended early voting days. So this is really just to shorten that window, get us to a reasonable time frame, make sure there's still plenty of time for people to come and vote early, but make sure you're doing so in a cost-effective manner. When you look at states around the country, we actually have one of the longer early voting windows. There are some, like Kentucky, as low as only like 3 days of early voting. So we actually have a very long early voting window right now.
Of course, those that are not opposed to, that are opposed to shortening the window are saying things like it is voter suppression. It is making it more difficult to vote. What you have to say to those kinds of thoughts?
I think in Indiana, we've got plenty of opportunity to go and vote. Even by shortening the days to early voting days, we could add some voting locations too to make accessibility a little easier there. And there's also the mail-in process as well, that you can request those absentee ballots by mail. So we've got a very easy process to vote in Indiana, and plenty of tools available.
He is J.D. Prescott. He is the state rep, Republican House District 33. He's in our Studio B for WMUN's Delaware County Today this morning. The Chicago Bears situation. This is something. It has been building and bubbling up in the Chicagoland area for a while now, but as I understand it, there are certain situations, there are certain pieces and parts that make it difficult for the Bears organization to get a new stadium built. And Indiana Governor Braun and the state legislature has basically stepped forward and said, hey, maybe you might want to come over across the border in Indiana. So what is the situation of that legislative efforts, and what's your position on it, Mr. Prescott?
Yeah, so there's been some ongoing conversations for a little while now between our state leadership and the Chicago Bears organization. Obviously, they've been looking at building a new stadium in the Chicago area, and as those efforts, and as quite frankly, as they look at the environment that they're in within the state, they see that if they come across the border, we've got a much better tax climate. They see us as a good partner in a state that's willing to work with them. And this deal that has been structured and worked out with the Chicago Bears, it would be over a $2 billion investment from the Bears organization into our state, into the development. The rest would be financed through the Indiana Finance Authority, and on a low interest loan would be paid back with the revenue and the proceeds locally. So at first, when this conversation was coming up, I realized I don't like the state getting involved in building stadiums. But when you look at this deal and the way this is structured and the return on investment to the state for this, this is not going to cost taxpayers money in Indiana. What this is going to do is actually bring in more revenue and really revitalize an area in Northwest Indiana that's been struggling. And once this deal is complete, and I'm very confident that this deal is moved. We wouldn't have moved forward with the bill yesterday. We passed a legislation in the Ways and Means Committee yesterday, 24-0. We were not planning on moving forward with the bill without a commitment from the Chicago Bears, and they put out a statement where they are committed in Hammond, Indiana.
Soldier Field, the current situation, has been there for 120 years or whatever. It is obviously not in the best of shape. It obviously is something that many football and professional sport franchises have a tendency to do and think about, and it might just be housed in Indiana when all is said and done. Mr. Prescott, if I may just more generically ask you, what do you think is the most important piece of legislation remaining in this session that's still alive that you believe needs to be passed before the end of next week?
Well, obviously the Chicago Bears legislation, the Stadium Authority bill, to what it would do to Northwest Indiana and revitalize that portion of the state is a very important piece of legislation. The one that I am most tied to would be Senate Bill 76. That legislation is the various immigration bill that I've been working on for the past 18 months. The Senate is scheduled to concur on that. It's actually been on their concurrence calendar for the last couple days, but just due to their schedule, they haven't voted on it yet. So I believe they're going to be voting on that on Monday, just to make sure that we are doing our part as a state to partner with our federal authorities, follow it through with the law, and make sure we're not a sanctuary state here in Indiana.
WMUN's Delaware County Today. Steve Lindell, my guest is J.D. Prescott, House District 33 State Rep. As they continue the legislative session, they call it a short session this time around, but it has been going quickly, and a lot of activity happening in the State House chambers. One of the other discussion points has been utility customer protections, Mr. Prescott. And I understand there has been bipartisan legislation addressing utility rate plans and assistance for low-income customers. Can you tell us the status of any of that and what else we need to know about that situation?
So House Enrolled Act 1002, and I say House Enrolled Act 1002 because it just passed out of the House on its final concurrence vote yesterday in a bipartisan fashion. There's only 2 no votes on it. The rest were all ayes. It does multiple things. It modernizes the rate-making process by transitioning to a multi-year planning. So as their utilities are submitting those rates to the IURC, making sure that we are planning long-term. Put some cost protections in place for consumers as well, and it's really a robust effort to make sure that we as a state are trying to do what we can to keep those utility prices lower. Obviously, it's been a growing concern amongst constituents across the state with rising utility costs. So this is our effort to try and take a long-term approach to make sure our utility rates stay affordable.
All right. J.D. Prescott is our guest on WMUN's Delaware County Today. We're talking about the Indiana session. The legislature has about a week more as we sit here on February 20th to get their work done as it can be for this session. Gambling and sweepstakes regulation is being bandied about. I guess this is a bill to ban sweepstakes-style casinos.
Yeah, so iGaming is illegal in the state of Indiana, and what these sweepstakes are essentially iGaming in a workaround of state law. So you would go online and you will buy tokens, and then you're gambling with these online crypto tokens, and then you're redeeming those tokens back for cash. So it's essentially a workaround of our for iGaming in an unregulated market, and really there's no protections for consumers if they do participate in there to guarantee that that those coins are actually going to be worth the same value that they bought them for. So they could change value at any time. So this is we don't allow iGaming in Indiana. So this would be making sure that we're not allowing it in a roundabout way.
Youth and education technical topics also talked about in the Indiana legislature this session. An education package with social media age restrictions for youth and expanded authority to review college degree programs has moved around the chamber and triggered debate. What do you think about all of that? What do you think's important, or maybe what's not so important?
Yeah, on the social media bans, I think that is extremely important. When you look at what social media and the algorithm, the way it works, and how it has affected our youth, and you see the teen depression and suicide rates climbing, social media has a lot to do with that. And quite frankly, it's people, they're quick to type behind a keyboard the things that they would not say in person. And I think we need to do what we can to protect our youth from that perspective. When it comes to the higher education component of this bill and some of these degree programs, quite frankly, what we're taking a look at are some of these degrees where when you come out of college, the salary range for these degree programs are lower than if you just had a high school education. So it doesn't make sense for us as a state to subsidize universities to have degrees that do not raise the wage at all. It's not saying that people can't go and get these. If they want to go to a private university and pay for their own to get these degrees, there's nothing stopping a private university from having these degree programs. But your taxpayer dollars should not be subsidizing a degree that is not worth the value that's put into it.
Indiana State Rep J.D. Prescott is in our studio this morning, Studio B on the south side of Muncie for WMUN and Woof Boom Radio. One of the other youth-related issues was the notion of banning cell phone use in school buildings. I've lost track of that. Is that still a part of anything?
Yes, so that bill passed out of the Ways and Means Committee this week as well on Wednesday, and it is heading to the House floor as well. This is another one where I was originally not in favor of this legislation, just the way it was structured. I thought it was going to be too restrictive for the school corporations around the state to implement their own policies. But as the author and the sponsor have worked and negotiated with the school corporations, I think this legislation is really in a good spot to where each individual school can develop their own policy, and there's enough flexibility. And so it's already against the law to have we already requiring law that the schools have policy to make sure that there's no phones in the classroom. This just goes a little bit further throughout the instructional time during the day in totality. So and I think it gives enough availability for school corporations to develop their own policies.
In the final moment that we have with you today in studio, is there anything we haven't talked about that constituents are asking you about that you'd like to use your voice to cover this morning here?
Yeah, so there's a couple bills that have been coming through this session that's really involving some of the agency bills, and we're putting into code a lot of the administrative policy. So I've gotten quite a few questions on all this new regulation that's coming from. It's really not any new regulation. It's just shifting where it's housed. I just wanted to clear that up with some of these different agencies. But overall, this next week, there's going to be a lot of legislation that's moving around from one bill to another. We're in this period of conference committee. So things will be moving fast and furious. So if constituents want to reach out, if they have questions, feel free to get a hold of me at h33@iga.in.gov. Again, that's h33@iga.in.gov.
All right. J.D. Prescott, always a pleasure. Thank you for your service, and safe travels to you as you continue doing your work.
Thank you.
As we continue with more in a moment, we have Delaware County Today through the hour, as we usually do. No, we always do, on WMUN.
This is Inside Indiana Business Radio. I'm Alex Brown. The American Center for Manufacturing and Innovation broke ground Thursday on its National Security Industrial Hub, an 1,100-acre campus designed to expand domestic munitions production and bring hundreds of high-wage jobs to Greene County. Simon Shoemaker, head of development for Acme Properties, says the companies who will locate on the campus will be able to support existing defense operations in the area.
The campus is oriented and designed in a way to support not only large existing defense corporations, but also smaller growing companies. That this campus can accelerate growth by bringing prototype to production all in one place.
Prometheus Energetics, a merchant supplier of solid rocket motors, also plans to build its headquarters and primary production facility on 600 acres within the campus. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
Indiana University is shaping the future of healthcare with Hoosiers in mind. Advancing discoveries that become treatments for Alzheimer's, obesity, cancer, and rare diseases, and training the providers trusted to deliver them. From the lab to your local clinic, IU powers medical breakthroughs and the talent behind them. Discover how IU is solving what's next at iu.edu/impact.
Hello and welcome to Inside Indiana Business. I'm Gary Dick, coming to you this week from Northwest Indiana, Jeffersonville, Muncie, South Bend, in downtown Evansville, Terre Haute, Fort Wayne, Richmond, from one of the state's key entrepreneurial and innovation hubs, 16 Tech. Inside Indiana Business, Indiana's business news leader.
Save big on your next project right now at Menards. Improve your home's appearance with a new garage door from Ideal Door. Did you know a garage door is the #1 project for return on your investment, instantly increasing the value of your home? Choose a new door from our in-stock selection or customize your own using our free Garage Door Designer. Check out our weekly flyer on Menards.com for all the great deals happening now.
Save big money at Menards.
This Week in Delaware County, a weekly show on WMUN that's part of our promise to use our voice to build and connect our community. Listen Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. to catch up on local news, community info, and talk about issues and ideas that you need to know on 92.5 FM, 1340 AM, and on Alexa, say play WMUN. Listen to Delaware County Today on Alexa. Just enable the skill, then say, Alexa, play WMUN. Now back to Steve Lindell.
On our WMUN broadcast every day, we bring in movers and shakers and difference makers, and that's kind of poetic, isn't it, Kurt Darling? That was pretty good, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, that was very nice.
I just made that up on the fly. Kurt Darling is
Walt
the
Whitman
Wolf Boom
would be
sports director.
jealous.
Say again?
Walt Whitman would be jealous.
I don't think it's Walt Whitman-esque. As we bring in Kurt here, I'm going to bring up on the video screen last night's broadcast. You can watch this stuff. It's radio with pictures. Let's start with that. How about last night's game?
It was a tough one for Delta. They came up short to a really good Pendleton Heights team who is certainly one of the better teams in the area that I've seen from a defensive perspective. They only allowed Delta to about 40 points. And Cooper Sims for Pendleton Heights is as good as anybody that you'll find in East Central Indiana. He had 15 of his 24 points in the third quarter to really open things up for the Arabians. But either way, Delta, they're going to be playing. They're playing 3 games in 4 days because of some of the makeup games from the winter weather earlier this year, and so. They had a game earlier this week against Rushville. They had Pendleton Heights last night, and now they have Shelbyville tonight. So it's a marathon run this week here for the Eagles.
That is a stretch. WMUN sports director Kurt Darling, our guest from Studio B. We're calling it Studio B. We just named it. It is on the campus of Woof Boom Radio.
What does
here
the B stand for?
Burton.
Burton, there
Don
you go.
Burton
there
is
you
the
go.
original owner of this radio station complex, those many years ago. He was actually one of you back in the day. You know those. Maybe you don't. Maybe I've not told you those stories.
Maybe not. I don't think so.
Mr. Burton actually was the play-by-play. He was the owner of the radio station. He was the play-by-play guy that did, as the lore goes, Muncie Central Bearcat games.
Okay.
Now, I was told, and I have not confirmed this through multiple sources, but I believe it to be true mostly because Maury Manny's told me this story back in the day that Mr. Burton would park the radio station vehicle outside of the North Walnut Street Fieldhouse. He hired kids from the school, and they would run back and forth inside the gym and come out to him in the vehicle. They would tell him what transpired, whispering in his ear, and he, not able to broadcast from inside the gymnasium, the field house in that particular situation or situations, he would articulate as if he was in the room and do the play-by-play coverage. Could you do that?
Second-hand play-by-play. Isn't that calling a game remotely on a TV screen during COVID?
Yeah. He was doing COVID stuff before we were forced to do COVID stuff. Okay, so we have no high school game tonight on WMUN. However, we have a Ball State game here on the MUN. Then tomorrow we're going high school. In fact, we're going high school on the MUN and on the Oldies 101 too.
Yeah, that's right. And it's going to be a busy couple of days over on Oldies 101. You got a game tonight for them over there, but then tomorrow you got the girls semi-state, and we're hoping that we have 2 games over on Oldies 101 tomorrow because LaPel is taking on Bremen, and then based on how things shake out with that, they could be facing somebody else in the semi-state finals for a chance to go to Gainbridge Fieldhouse, and so it'll be something to keep an eye on here over on Oldies 101.
Kurt Darling here on WMUN, and our sports director with always busyness happening. But is this kind of like a Christmassy time of the year when we get into, end of the season when these games start to matter even more, and then we get into the sectional draw. The girls, of course, are deep into their state tournament levels, but this Sunday you got the boys doing their thing.
It's a lot like a parent trying to create the perfect Christmas for their child around this time, because you certainly enjoy the nostalgia and also just the stories that you get from covering the state tournament here in the state of Indiana. But from an organizational standpoint, it can certainly cause a few headaches. And so you always try to at least make it as perfect as you possibly can. But it's always a lot of fun covering the state tournament, whether it's girls or boys, and it always makes for some great basketball.
Kurt Darling has great hair, as you can see on camera. Do you pull any of it out when we get into this zone of time, though?
I haven't had any pulled out yet. I don't know if it's long enough for me to be able to grab onto it, which is probably a good thing. So it stays in place.
Kurt, thanks a lot for the time, the work, the effort, and the fun, because it is fun, and we certainly hear it and see it when you are doing all this stuff. Keep up the great work.
Yep, I enjoyed, Steve. Thank you.
Kurt Darling with us, our sports director, Woof Boom Radio. Next item for today, another update on how big this operation is.
Securing America.
The U.S. is engaged in the largest military buildup since the eve of the Iraq War. The Pentagon has deployed more than 120 warplanes to the Middle East, including 50 in the past 48 hours. This includes 48 F-15 fighter jets, 18 stealth F-35s, and a squadron of F-22 Raptors. The total number of E-3 Sentry AWACS deployed to the region, 6. Sending the AWACS marks a significant change in strategic posture. It's an all-weather airborne warning and control system with an integrated command and control battle management to provide an accurate, real-time picture of the battle space to the Joint Air Operations Center. The USS Ford aircraft carrier strike group is near the Strait of Gibraltar, but still a few days from the eastern Mediterranean, where it could be used to protect Israel. In Washington, Jennifer Griffin, Fox News.
On WMUN, News Talk, Sports Talk, Community Talk, it's live radio, so that means we have instant reactions. Here is Ed Knatzer. Yes, that is what I hear. Over 500,000 views. Thanks for all you do best, Ed Knatzer. He is referencing my comment from earlier this hour that he has been a guest on one of our programs called All Kinds of People, hosted by Dr. Joe Mashevitz. That's Mondays from 9:30 until 10 a.m. during our Monday talk block here on WMUN. And he, I believe, I don't know for a fact, but I believe it's possible he may be exaggerating just a skosh. I don't know. Just a possibility. Our Monday programming, by the way, always begins with Delaware County Today live from Studio B this morning, our audio-video multi-purpose room on the campus of Woof Boom Radio on the south side of Muncie, Indiana, USA. And on Mondays after that show concludes, this show concludes, we have the 765businessjournal.com radio show with Lefay Pegues. And then the Dr. Joe Mashevitz, All Kinds of People, 9:30 until 10 a.m., as we have a lot of ways to use our voice to build and connect our community. And we have even more things in the hopper, as they say. Hold on a second. Can I do that? I think I can. I'm going to try and do something I've not done before. I am going to bring up audio.
Last night.
This is from our station on Oldies 101.
It's a great way that
Hold on a second. I think I've got too many sources open here. Stand by. Oh, this was going to work so well in rehearsal. I've got to go over here. This is live radio, folks. I'm trying to connect to our Oldies 101 to hear the end of a coat drive effort.
Scared my dog a little bit. So she was clinging kind of close to me last night, which is, she normally does that anyway, but like extra close because of the storms and everything. And I'm sure, when weather like that comes rolling through, There's a
Zach
huge
Johnson
need.
actually, I think, talking about his dog. They finished up their winter warm-up on Oldies 101. We were trying to go live to see if we could get the conclusion of their coat drive. We understand it went very, very, very well. Thanks to everybody that helped. All right, final item this morning. We'll get to our friend from Fox News celebrating the 250th birthday this year. Here's Bill Hemmer.
I'm Bill Hemmer, and these are the most impactful moments in American history. The man who would become the world's most wanted criminal, the leader of a ruthless and violent terrorist organization, a self-identified caliphate with a $25 million bounty on his head. He was Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Baghdadi ruled from the playbook established by Zarqawi, using the same vicious tactics to raise and spread the presence of his jihadist group, known as ISIS, across the Middle East. Baghdadi was able to evade capture and detection for nearly a decade. That is, until October 26, 2019. Baghdadi was surrounded by United States Special Operations Forces. Baghdadi detonated a suicide vest, killing himself. There was a significant display of the power and precision of U.S. intelligence in their fight in the war on terror. I'm Bill Hemmer, Fox News.
All right, thank you, Bill Hemmer. And now let's try to do this. As our show ends, we are going to bring up audio from what I think is our owner talking to Oldies 101.
I came back here in 2013. You were with the stations, and you've always wanted to make a difference. And you're having that opportunity,
Zach Johnson.
I know, with the show today. And I couldn't be happier for you. And George, you and I don't know each other that well. We only met close to a year ago.
We'll bring you the end result of that coat drive when we have that information, and I think it's good news. Have a great weekend. For Jackson Jacoby, my producer, Steve Lindell, WMUN.
Spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300